Dan is a bitch-ass motherfucker, and I hate him. Okay.
Good.
So Sarah and I discussed preparing each other for this episode in particular, and part of that was getting her affirmations ready, which you have just heard.
Yes, I like that. Just Sarah wakes up in the morning, looks in the mirror, just says, "Dan is a bitch-ass motherfucker," like 18 times to start the day.
Now she did take it to another level that I was expecting. Felt a little bit personal. It's going down in my journal.
Mm-hmm. Dan will remember this. Yeah, it's just like I had to do my daily affirmations to be able to confront I needed to say it without bursting into stupid giggle fits because I'm nervous. Because I want to be a better improv actor on my silly Dice Funk show.
Well, contrastly, Laura, Sketch, Austin, I think you're all very wonderful. You enrich my lives every day. Thank you for your presence.
Aw,
I'm attacking Quinn. 19, 15, 15, 17.
You know my AC would be so low. All of those would hit.
I'm comboing you through the air. Like,
yeah.
Tekken.
A lot of hostility.
This is a Guilty Gear juggle.
It's like I'm dealing 37 d6 hug damage. You're being showered with affirmation. All my attacks late. Oh gosh, try to remember that line I saw one somewhere, just like it was a Final Fantasy 14 gimmick about like, dodge this mechanic, goes in for a hug kind of sequence there.
Yeah, so I think we're going to pick up right where we left off before, which is you guys have essentially finished the Hialeah vibe check. You defeated President Slater. You saw sort of through Hialeah a little bit here, and you're now presented. You're in this sort of shapeless void, essentially, where there's just these 3 statues that all have 4 indentations at the base where you could put a sword. And one statue will have Hialeah standing in front of the banyan tree, and there's almost like a design behind it that gives you like some impression of heaven, but it's like no one has the same version of what that is. You all just see sort of this idyllic, almost afterlife on Earth moment there. And there's one with Bishop Bitter Creek, and you see this church. It's very orderly. It's very professional. This is a very organized thing at this point. And then there's one that has Stranger, and around him are sort of these holy knights and this sense of like adventure and journey. And these are the 3 options for you. This is sort of the question. What is going to be the future of the resurrection queue? What is the future of this whole process going to be?
I don't think Barbella needs any time here. I think of the options available, she knows that Bishop Bittercreek was very willing to basically put her religion in the hands of the Banana Baron for a bit of financial stability, throwing away the consequences of what that might mean. And Barbella believes that the future of her religion needs to be a future that is shared with Hialeah being back and in charge of her part of this sort of dual religion that exists. So Barbella is very much on team Hialeah.
I guess Lillian will start just saying out loud, just like, I don't know about anybody else here, but I feel like of these options, I think Hialeah has the most care toward the people in the queue themselves and wants the best for them, and that sounds like the best way to go if this is going to be something that keeps going for a long time. I would rather these people get the best treatment as possible.
I might not agree with everything that Hialeah says or how she handles everything, but I do think that the future of the Riddle Church is inextricably intertwined with the banyan tree and the religion that is sort of cropped up around it, and I think that if there's anyone that I can find common ground in working out what our religions are together, it is Hialeah.
Stranger would say, first I would like to note that this isn't the vote to bring Hialeah back or not. It's the vote for how does resurrection operate going forward. And Stranger will look to Barbella and say, Hialeah coming back does not mean you have to agree with her view of how resurrection should occur. By her plan, someone might not come back for hundreds of years. Everyone they care about, long gone. The world they knew, nothing but dust and memories. You're going to find very few people that are going to thrive under those circumstances, even in this idyllic resort that she wants to build. And even less still that might want to stay in such a resort.
Is our job to make resurrection something desirable? Or is it to make sure that this, what I believe is a holy practice, is accessible to everyone who wants to go through that process?
That is what I believe my option is. A church whose entire purpose is to facilitate someone to go on that journey.
Yes, but as we've, look, there's a lot I agree with you on, but you are very insistent that if someone doesn't have the means to make this we have admitted, very difficult, physically, emotionally journey, that their person doesn't get to come back. That the ability of someone left behind should be a factor in whether someone who has died is able to go through this process. I understand conceptually what it achieves, your idea, but I think that a religious ritual that some people, for physical or emotional reasons, are not able to go through the process of, and are therefore denied a part of religious practice, is fundamentally at odds with what a religion should be.
In Hialeah's version, I don't believe they're taking part in any religion. They drop off a body part in a queue and then leave. 100 years later, that person may or may not come back.
Indeed, but the person who was put through the system isn't going to be denied being put through the system because the person who brought them there wasn't fit enough to fight through a vision in a tree.
Yes, they just come back to a world that they never wanted.
I think that Stranger's option feels cruel to the people who may not have, like, someone like super close to them to bring them back. What happens to the people who died unjustly and are just left out, like, in like the fields to just like rot away with no one else there until someone's like, oh, like I was like kind of friends with them and it's not fair they died. I don't think it's fair that like this process has to be like contained to like any sort of thing, like, oh, like they have to be close to them, or oh, they got to be able to pay for it.
So you believe every person in the world who dies has to be in this queue?
if they want to be.
Well, then, as you said, who is putting them into that queue? If they had no friends to do so, who is going to bring them over? If they died in a field all alone?
Yeah, so it'd be one of those things that I guess the way I like to frame it is kind of how I view building out Zolfo the way that Ollie and I kind of intended. We don't build the city for our sake. We build the city, we build the town for this, we build the homes for the sake of those who have yet to arrive, for those who have yet to be here and might need a place to live. And just like how, being a good shepherd in that respect, you try to set up those that might arrive for the best chances to have a viable, sustainable community. In a similar sense, this whole procedure and process, my concern about a lot of what's being talked about here is that it puts a particular impetus on the person bringing the subject of the resurrection in. And in some ways, it makes it more about them and less about the person going through the procedure of potentially being resurrected.
Yes, that is by design. This is for the living. Everything that is being done here, in my estimation, is always for the person who starts this process.
And I don't agree with that at all. Because the main beneficiary at the end of it, the direct beneficiary of it is the one being resurrected, not necessarily the one that initiated the process. If I was doing this for my sake, I might have even been tempted to sidestep Ollie's wishes and bring him back just out of desperation for wanting one more day with him. But if I was doing that, I would be violating his wishes to not be brought back. And certainly any system where people are accepted into the queue, regardless of whether it is Hialeah's more open metric, Bitter Creek's pay to play, or yours, which is effectively a play to pay methodology, is independent from my belief that this procedure is for the benefit of those who have passed and have an opportunity to return.
I find myself agreeing with you on this. I think fundamentally, this should be for the dead who are coming back more than it should be for the people wanting to bring them back. I am of the belief that in an ideal world, this process would be bringing back people who had made their wishes known prior to death that this is something that they want, that they are okay with the consequences of how long it might be, what kind of world they might come back to, and that this is a process that serves finding out whether they can have that second chance. More than I think this is for the satisfaction of the people who come in wanting them back.
Stranger's actually going to throw up a hand and say, let's stop. I'm not trying to convince you out of self-interest here. I've made my case. Frankly, Hialeah's benefits me the most, more so than my own suggestion. If you believe this is the correct option for you, and there is nothing left to discuss, cast your vote.
If Hialeah's benefits you the most, why are you even making your suggestion? Obviously, I know you care about things. You care about your community back in the fear biome, and you care about your brother. But do you really care about what we're doing here, or are you just trying to do something here that benefits you and then you leave? How long are you even going to stay to see this through, whatever we vote on?
Stranger kind of looks confused and a bit baffled and says, yes, I obviously care about what's happening here. We're rewriting how the laws of life and death work, effectively on the whim of 4 people.
And no, I will not be here forever. But we are potentially bringing back someone who will be here for thousands of years. As he gestures towards Hialeah's statue.
Just I know you care about like the very broad strokes. Like do like when you make your suggestion, do you think about the community here that's going to be built? I feel like if people come here just with the explicit purpose of like they have to go through the system and bring their loved one back, will they continue to help build this community to make sure that it stays together? I feel like, at least with the other two options, people would be sticking around and like trying to make sure that like this whole system, this tree and this snake all like stay protected and like keep doing what they're doing.
Why would someone stay under Hialeah? They drop off a body part, and then in some untold time, it will get checked. They have zero incentive to help and stay. Will they stay here for their entire lifespan, just so a few hundred years past that, they might get brought back, their friend might get brought back? If you're talking about building a community, having a support network here to train people to make this journey is the closest you will get to actually having people invested in this island.
I disagree. I think that whether the people who've brought body parts stay or not, I think that building a community here is going to be easier than you think. I think that this is a place unlike any other in this world that is clearly unique, that is built around a beautiful symbiosis, and I think that there will be people who will come here, if for no other reason than recognition of the beauty of what this place is and what this place does. People like me who want to be here because there is something beautiful happening, who genuinely just want to create a support that will be there for people when they come out of this.
And I believe you will get far more people like the Baron and Slater.
I'm trying to stay quiet so I don't influence anyone, but I do want to just quickly say that a reason a lot of people are going to come is because of the vents, which are very valuable. So imagine, in addition to controlling life and death, your town is also built on the largest gold mine in the world. Going with Bishop Bitter Creek will make you all disgustingly filthy rich. Less so with Hialeah.
It will make us disgustingly filthy rich off of the back of the kind of person who was very willing to go, yeah, I'll sort of concede some control of the church over to this very bad person because, yeah, he's got money. Barbella is never, that's never going to be a motivator for her.
Sure. Just a D&D character could conceivably be motivated by a golden coin is all I'm saying.
Yeah, a different group of people, maybe someone would be like, yeah, maybe we should get disgustingly filthy rich off of this.
Yeah, and Stranger's standpoint is that, look, if you want people invested, put them through a training program to go through the entire process. That's probably the easiest way to get a religious convert possible here, if they are actively involved in every step.
And I think if people want to be part of this community and want to train to be part of that process, then more power to them. That doesn't have to be the same people bringing the body parts.
Yeah, like Barbella and Boyce are both here, and they didn't have anyone they needed to bring back.
Would you be casting this vote, Lillian, if Needles was still in the queue?
Oh, damn. That's a good question.
It really depends on which Lillian you're asking. If you're asking the one who brought her here, the one who was waiting for Needles to come back, maybe my choice would be different. Maybe I would want to be gung-ho and like run into that tree right then and there and try to get her back as soon as possible. And, I'm really glad she is back. I feel like the thing about casting my vote now is that I've seen like the benefits of for the people who have come back, and I feel like if we build a community for the folks who will be coming back even like hundreds of years from now, then like the people who understand the cost of the wait will not be as upset about being there as you imply they are.
Look, if I'm gonna make this vote, then fuck it. I'm gonna at least talk about what I think could be done differently. Because I think there is a middle ground that is not that far away from either you or Hialeah. I think there is a version of this where you can choose to just drop off a body part and leave, and they'll get checked when they get checked. Everyone gets a chance to come back, but if your body is just left, you may come back to a different world. I think we encourage those brought back to spend some time serving this community to help it. It's not something we force, but it's something we encourage. For the work that was done to bring someone back, if they are willing to spend some time as part of this community to help those who will come back after them, that is something we would encourage. Those who stay to do the vibe check themselves for their loved ones would help speed up the process. They have to vibe check their loved one, but I would have them vibe check an abandoned loved one of someone else's as well. By staying, by being part of this community, by going through that process, becoming invested in this community and what we do, they might get to see their loved one come back faster while they're still alive to see it, but they have to help with that backlog and help make sure that that backlog is moving equally fast. One new person who is bringing back their loved one by going through the process, and one person from the backlog, one at a time. Keep both of those lines moving. You cannot get that fast pass just by bringing back trying to bring back that person you came to bring back. You have to contribute something tangible to keeping the queue moving for those who were just left here by their loved ones.
I was gonna make a fast pass joke and then you just said it.
Yeah, I didn't have a better fucking word for it. In the moment, I was like, I could either stop or I could just fucking say it.
You know what's funny? Those basically everything you said there were expressly concessions that Stranger was 100% willing to make that I thought of before this episode. But I was like, oh well, we don't want to like put too many like considerations here per like a conversation we had off the air. So I just didn't say anything. But yeah, Stranger will be like, yes, I see no problem with that. Whatever. Where's the sword? Where's the statue? Can I put it in?
But yeah, Barbella's gonna finish and just say like, if I had a say in this, we would ask those who want their loved one back in their lifetime to suffer equally to help someone else be judged. That, to me, is the middle ground we could find between you and Hialeah. It is, everyone gets a chance to come back. Nobody's chance to come back is predicated on the person who brings them being in some way capable to do that journey. The people who are capable of doing that may get the benefit of seeing their loved one back while they're still alive to see it, but they have to make the work be done to help keep that backlog down if they want that privilege. They have to do the work of making sure the forgotten still get processed and still get to come back, or they don't get to do it.
Does a statue rise up out of the ground?
Yeah, I have to, I guess, check with Austin. Austin, are you okay with that being the potential future on Dice Vote?
Yeah, I mean, you're the DM, so you can tell me to go fuck myself even if I disagree with you. It's your finale.
Yeah, Austin, what's
Quinn has all the
your,
cards.
What's your opinion, Austin, on this?
My opinion on this is that I like...
Shut up, Austin! A towering statue
Perfect.
of Barbella rises up out of the ground, and you'll notice that it has the 4 slots in it. It seems to be a new idea presented in the last moment, but it's a potential way forward.
Yeah, Stranger will smile and say, finally, someone willing to make some level of an offer. Haven't had that since Hialeah and Miss Killings.
And Stranger will go in and slam the sword into it.
Just I want to, like, I want to say Lillian, like, looked really riled up and has been trying to, like, just calm themselves down as, like, Barbella took a chance to like, interject. And at this point, it's just, like, I think one of my problems has just been treating these decision-making rounds as if they are personal discussions between friends. And so when I feel like someone I consider a friend is harming me in some way because I get confused and emotional, I think there was an animosity building up ever since Hialeah blew up, honestly, and I'm not sure if it's gonna go away, but I think that I have been roping in my feelings about her with my feelings about Stranger, and Stranger, I still don't completely understand you, but I don't think I need to, and you do have very smart points, and I think I was getting very upset that smart points were coming from someone that I couldn't understand.
Do you want to know how I got my name?
You know, it's funny. I did wonder, but I thought it would be rude to ask.
I thought you were gonna say no. Who gives a shit?
There's a lead in here,
Stranger,
Austin.
fuck you.
I'm sorry. Is a Stranger like a regional name, or is that like one of those names you got at the corner store?
I assumed maybe it was a Fear Biome special.
It's one of those career-based names, like that was your job back there.
What if Stranger just says it's Stranger Than, and that was it? He's like, oh, it's short for Stranger Fur.
And then Lillian stabs him.
Worth it. Worth it.
Maybe I've been asking the wrong questions. I would like to know.
Harvest kin don't have parents or really families like other people would consider them. We tend to pick up names from actions or things other beings say about us. When I was a young Gordling, barely out of the patch, I wandered to the edge of the Fear Biome. And I met a human. First one I'd ever seen. And after their initial shock, they said to me, "It's nice to meet you, stranger." We were friends for a time, and things were good. I learned a lot from them. Knights, paladins, stories of courage and like, and I showed her how to survive in the deep, dark woods. Eventually, people found out. I think she told her parents where my patch was. I wondered, when I was considering what I had to do to this island, if she felt the way I did, agonized over the decision, is it worth it to betray this new friend from my family? Didn't matter. Harvest killed her parents. I returned the bodies as a courtesy. And the last thing she ever said to me was, "Get out of here, stranger." I'll probably have to kill her someday. She'll come for me. But that's life. I will cherish the memory of our friendship, Lillian, if it's dead, but I must move on, all the same.
I guess if it's just a memory, I'm glad it existed in the first place. For a while there, I was worried, you and Hialeah and Killings, nobody really actually liked me that much.
I always liked you, Lillian. I'm just colder than you are.
And I guess that's something I can't be mad about. I can accept that.
Cut to wet team high-fiving. We're the best friends. I love you guys.
Literally, just the entire season has just been like, wet team, power of friendship, let's go! And dry team want to fucking kill each other.
Wet team's like, I hope it can end soon and get back in time for Reaper's goodbye party. Boys, what kind of cake are you bringing?
Oh, geez, that's a tough question. I'll have to
cake?
get back to you on that one. What?
Crab cake?
Oh no! Oh, that'd be so.
No!
No, imitation crab cake. Okay, it's crab with a K in that case. I just want to interject if there's still things that you all need to cover.
No, I think this is a good space for Boyce to
Boyce, say your things.
All I'll kind of add as a bit of a rioter on what you're proposing there, Barbella, is that I propose, like, the other note I could think of is that your proposal is about doing this for the benefit of those who are coming back, correct?
I think ideally that should be the focus.
Hence the whole pay it forward type energy of vibe checking someone that you aren't, specifically invested in. The only thing I would think would be a nice, maybe this could be an edict within the church itself. We don't necessarily have to have a fifth statue here to kind of codify it. But the thought I had once the remaining, once I was able to get Alfago's terraforming spell to work as intended, as I was intending it, and finish building Zolfo and the gig, I sort of looked at it all just like, okay, I understand why Ollie wanted this to be done. Because from Ollie's perspective, it was more important that I was working on making this place a better place for those who are making this a better place for those who are coming back. Effectively make the world one worth coming back to. Whether or not your loved ones are still there, at least the world is still present. It's inviting. It provides opportunities that you can use to kind of continue on whatever path you're on. And for me, I think that's part of the whole notion I had when I brought up the whole idea of the community side of things, investing in the building of what we have here, maybe even building things outside of here. This whole place that we have was a haven, a whole, even ignoring just the resources we have in the vents, just the ability to come somewhere, build homes, make new connections and friends, and in some cases, turn a page in our own stories so we can start over in cases where we may have been unhappy where we were. And those who are still alive engage in their own rebirth. So I apologize for my rambling here.
No, I couldn't agree more. I think that's wonderfully put. I think at the end of the day, that is one of the biggest riddles of all, is how we make this a place that can be many things to the many people who are here for many reasons. And I, I definitely see eye to eye with you here.
All right, then. If that's the... And I'm going to hold you and Hialeah to that, then. And then Boyce will take his sword and just sort of move over toward Barbella's statue, then, to slot his sword in there.
A fifth statue comes out of the ground at Stranger's Crow, and it just says "Worms for bodies."
Worms for bodies. Worms for bodies.
They pay me in Woims.
I think at this point, Barbella is gonna walk over and just go. I guess since it's my statue, I should probably put my sword in last. Any last reservations?
Has Lillian put in a fair sword in any of the statues?
That's
yet?
what. Sorry, yes. To clarify, Barbella is walking over to Lillian to go. Hey, do you have any reservations before I pop mine in? Are you on board?
I think Lillian. Well, like this is the first time Lillian is turning away from the general direction of Stranger since we started talking. It just like I think the compromises that you suggested are working more toward something that I could agree to voting on than what felt like more, I don't know, rigid decisions. There are still things that I'd change in a perfect world, but I want to state that I'm going to make my vote and I'm going to live with all of the consequences. I will work for the rest of my life to make sure that whatever comes to bite me in the butt again, I will be there to face the music. And then Lillian is going to go over to the Barbella statue and make that vote. Shove that sword in.
Barbella will look to Lillian and go, I know mine's not perfect either, but don't worry, I will also be here to, consequences will happen, but neither of us are going to be dealing with them alone. We got it.
Just who's gonna have the worst consequences? The overthinker or the no thoughts head empty?
Oh well,
Let's go.
my name is on this plan, so if it goes wrong, I gotta take all of that now. So as the underthinker, I will take responsibility for that.
I think the camera pans in front of Lillian, and Stranger is directly behind Fair, a little bit obscured, and then there's the sound of a bone cracking. And Stranger will sort of clear his non-existent throat, trying to get Lillian to turn around.
Lillian will turn around. They just heard a bone cracking.
And Stranger will look Lillian dead in the eyes, and ask Fair to hold out their hand.
All right. I'm gonna hold it out.
He gingerly drops the tip of his pinky finger, one of his few bones in his body, into Fair hands and says, "In the spirit of consequences, I will make a deal with you. You voted to bring Gotch back, as did Killings. And it would be hypocritical of me to not have the results follow through. Here is his body. You may bring him back. But I will promise you this. If you are wrong, if he does not turn his life around, if he is still the miserable little wretch that he was, I will kill him. His life," and he kind of sweeps his arms, "is quite literally in your hands."
Lillian will like look down at this like tiny pinky bone finger for a long pause before like clasping it in fair hand and saying, I'm gonna do everything I can, and we'll see who was right in the end.
I do hope that I am wrong.
Well, it seems like we're good. Barbella is going to insert the final sword.
I'll make sure that Boyce was walking to the statue. I'll make sure Boyce puts in the sword so
Barbella's gonna
Barbella
wait
gets the
until
final
Boyce
point.
puts the sword in.
That's fine.
Barbella is going to wait for dramatic last sword to be like, Boyce, put the thing in. And
Okay, fine, okay.
Stop edging the statue.
I can't believe the final boss fight was an argument between Lillian and Stranger, and Barbella somehow won.
Barbella's part of the debate team.
Barbella has enough strength to beat both of them in an argument verbally. Wait, that's how that works.
She slapped us in an argument with her word fists.
I'm also kind of amused that it seems like the answer for all this is essentially the deal Reaper set up at the start of this season, which is like, I'll do work for you, but I get to move my person up faster into queue.
I would agree. I mean,
the
Reaper,
whole time.
I mean, to be fair, Reaper is honestly a great case study. You look at how she's grown to appreciate the community and those around her, and you know, it looks like even Master Evers has had a bit of reformation after coming back too. So you know.
Look how Master Evers only almost killed her.
You all come out of the vibe check. Reaper's there like Luigi, who won doing nothing.
All right, yeah. When you put your sword into the statue, Barbella, like there's like this hum, this kind of glow to the statue, and there is like sort of this immense light that starts to pour out from it. And it kind of blinds you all. Like there's a moment where you all kind of shut your eyes. And when you come to, you find yourselves inside of the banyan tree with something at your feet.
Oh, what's at our feet?
Are we supposed to kick it? No. Just
All of the swords from your adventure, your legendary swords, are here with you.
Yay!
Woo! Swords for all of us.
I'm so glad to still have my sword for probably no more fight scenes.
Are there any other pieces of Hialeah laying around? This is a good time to loot farm.
Well, that's actually a very interesting question because you guys have just had a very long conversation about the future of the island. But as we wrap up this season of Dice Funk, I have one last question to ask you all as players.
Uh-huh.
Do you bring back Hialeah?
Barbella's definitely voting yes.
Oh, yeah. I feel like despite all of the grief that Lillian has expressed through like oh my friend, everyone's so mean to me. Like I think Lillian does think Hialeah deserves to come back to life because Hialeah seems like a smart, capable person who seems to, like, despite being kind of like a rude bitch, does pay a lot of attention to the people around her.
I like to think that Boyce's rationale for bringing Hialeah back is just in hopes of having one downtime scene with Hialeah for this campaign.
She avoided me. She never wanted to talk to me, and now she'll be forced to.
Now I'll force her back. It's like, listen, we're going to have like a walk on the beach or something. It's like...
I should have made her do more crimes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think probably as everyone casts their vote, I think eyes once again follow the stranger, the constant negative in most of these vibe checks. And he is going to take his like crow off of his head as he mulls this over for a moment and feeds it like insects running through his vines and says, I've spent a long time considering what makes someone deserving of coming back. We all have different views. Maybe it is just their capacity to change, to evolve, adapt. This world might be artificial, might be built by the promises of dreams of dead gods, but it will drift from their intentions, as everything does. Maybe all that matters is that we adapt with it. Hialeah is not getting everything that she wanted with her view of this island, and maybe it will be interesting to see how she adapts. I vote yes.
Austin, can you tell me what it's like when Hialeah comes back?
So she comes out of the Well of Resurrection in a big bubble. Allison has to push her back to the gig, and when she bursts out, she says, "Oh boy, I sure hope the system I set up, all my dominoes and 4D chess and all my long-term goals all culminated while I was gone, and we now live in a worm-based society that I set the crow up to implement. I really want to get paid in Woims."
Oh god, she's not gonna get paid in Woims.
That was what it was all for. That was my scheme. The banners unroll, the Imperial March starts playing.
Unfortunately, Hialeah never followed through with getting the soil for the Woims. So,
Oh no.
So they just kept sinking into the ocean and drowning.
It's like King's Quest. I had to pick that item up really earlier. I was completely locked out later.
Yep.
No, but I mean, she comes back, and part of the reason she, entrusted these particular people is because she wanted their input. If she just wanted people to just mindlessly vote for her, she would have, killed the people who disagreed with her, or, stacked the jury or something. So when she finds out Barbella's plan, she is intrigued. But part of, I think, her final move here and coming back would be like, okay, well, we're going to have a queue that is slow and thoughtful, and then we'll have the fast pass queue. It sounds like we need 2 popes.
Crow Pope, and Stranger points at his crow. Paid in Woims for the fast pass.
No, we need a tree pope and a riddle pope. Also, someone needs extreme diplomatic immunity because you did a big murder on someone very important and well connected.
I accept popehood. I accept popehood. Pope now.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought that offer was for me. Okay, you take it. You take it, Barbell. That's fine.
Look, I was gonna try and practice what I preach and slow and steady and not rush to take political power, but also diplomatic immunity. Thank you.
Just leapfrogging right over Bitter Creek's head. I feel like Bitter Creek's gonna be like the fact none of us even considered Bitter Creek's option. I feel like he's gonna be big mad, but that's a problem for future Bitter Creek.
If there's ever a season where the concept is the masters of evil of the Dice Funk universe, the unresolved antagonist, Bitter Creek's gonna be one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Bitter Creek had such interiority and plans, and we just kind of ignored them because, oh no, not the money plan.
Well, and this is the thing about having Resurrection back in the world, is we can do the all the villains come back season eventually, because they can all just get resurrected at once.
Yeah, I will say that maybe if you were different characters who were motivated by money or something else, because I deliberately tried to play him as not corrupt. He is a really nice person who didn't have any ulterior motives or anything.
Oh yeah, it seems like he's not on board with the Banana Baron's plan because he was a corrupt religious official, but because there was just not really enough proof to think Banana Baron was evil.
I don't even know if it was that. The vibe I got was crumples under pressure when things get hard. He's not willing to stand up and go, no, that's not how our religion does things.
My read is that the understanding of at least the riddlefish side of the religion is that the well should be used as often as possible. Ergo, anything that expedites this occurring is good.
Yeah, he's just trying to revive as many people as possible. So, and in a way, he is the pro-efficiency candidate. But I I think this is interesting. I guess my epilogue scene. I mean, I want Barbella to have her own, but I think I need to have mine with her because I think we have a two popes situation starring Anthony Hopkins.
Hialeah is the person I'm most interested for Barbella to have a scene with.
Double Pope.
One of the last scenes is his boys trying to corner Hialeah to have a conversation, and her Metal Gear Soliding out of the way so they don't talk.
I do think Stranger would probably want to talk to Hialeah, but I think I actually have to talk to Parks too. There's several people have to talk to.
Okay, everybody, getting another cue for talking to Hialeah.
Wow, she's back in a big way. She misses her sword.
She's so popular.
Oh yeah, we used that for the pine cone.
Yeah, so there's like a long sequence of Hialeah getting caught up to speed, seeing the vault, finding out about the Elf Navy and the Coral Kingdom and the Banana Boys, and like there's just like so much to catch up on. So I don't know if it makes sense to jump into her right away, but I'll have a conversation with Barbella when it's my turn because I want to discuss like the future of the Holy Riddle Empire.
Well, Austin, you are also in the unenvious position of being the one person this season who had to play multiple characters. So we actually need a conclusion for Hialeah and one for Miss Killings as well.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I was thinking that, yeah, if Hialeah didn't get brought back, what would Killings' ending be? And it's like, well, I guess she kind of sucks up to whoever's in charge and tries to be their executive assistant, which is kind of embarrassing. This is the opposite, though, where she just goes mad with power. And then she's like, hell yeah, I'm so much power. But I do think after the fight with White, where she was basically melted with acid and only kind of barely saved herself with the kind of entombing power, that warlock ability. You find her usually like wrapped in basically in a pod of like roots that she can summon at like every hour. Recharges on short rest. So like that is like how she does her work. Is she just like summons these roots that like kind of put her in a concentration like cube or whatever. It's very like, I don't know, like the comforting power of the tree now. She doesn't love the Banyan the same way Hialeah does. It's much more of like safety than of like reverence, if that makes sense.
That's awesome. I love it. I have a selfish question. Is there any connections that Miss Killings keeps in her heart on the island, or is she just like very strictly about work?
So, I mean, she likes, I think of all the people, Speaker Mox, they had a connection. But I think the funniest answer, which is always the one I have to go to, is I think her epilogue should be with Commodore Commander Cassidy.
Like you gotta.
It's the only way.
God!
It's time for Miss Killings to finally kill.
I don't know if they like actually fight to the death. I'm like trying to picture like what is the funniest ending, and it's like them talking while they're like dueling or something. He has that like chain made of like magic or whatever. It's like a whip, and she has the paintbrush sword and like leaves a trail almost like a whip, and so they have a very like parallel dualistic fight. Like, what are they even arguing about? Just like Navy stuff? It's like, I needed those ships yesterday.
Yeah, I like to think these two just constantly have a hater relationship with one another, where like no matter what situation they're kind of involved with, they just kind of are competing with one another. Like if they cross eyes at Reaper's goodbye party, they both just see who could drink punch the longest or shit like that. Like they're just idiots who need to have an issue. Somehow Cassidy's been lured into this line of thinking too. Like he used to just be like, what a sweet lady. And now it's just like, all right, we're doing it. Battle to the death over these ships.
Now, see, this is the great question of comedy. What's funnier, it being on site for both of them, or Cassidy being above it? Because I could definitely see, a Killings rocks into his office. Jericho, the Pomeranian, just knocks all the shit off his desk, pulls down all his maps, and he's just like, "What do you need, Miss Killings?" like he does not rise to the provocation.
Good to see you, Jericho, looking very handsome. And he starts giving the dog treats.
Yeah, or is it just like the door opens, weapons drawn, and it's just like, where's the spreadsheet? I need the spreadsheet now. Shing, shing, shing.
I'm picturing it like that one scene in Megamind where they're throwing like furniture at Metro Man and he's just looking flat ahead the entire time.
Yeah, I don't know if there's anything that like critical we need to establish, because I feel like their roles are pretty clear. Commodore Cassidy's building up the naval forces to protect the island nation, and Miss Killings is managing the money for what is going to be an extremely rich Riddle Empire. Like in later seasons, people will talk about like Banyan Island being like, oh, they control the door between life and death, and they're like, you don't fuck with them. I was literally thinking about this because the way we have solved most problems this season, and this isn't a moral judgment one way or the other, is just terrible violence. Like, you smashed the Coral Kingdom, you smashed the elves, you smashed the Banana Boys. Like, just like everyone who fucked with you got their complete asshole ripped open. And I don't think the point of D&D is to do the most moral thing. I don't think you win if you're the goodest boys. Like, I think you just do what your characters do. But I think in future seasons, people are gonna be fucking scared of you, like what you did here.
Yeah, they should be.
I mean, most of them are people who came and tried to fight us first.
Yeah, but usually you're provoked, but...
Listen, I followed with you on the journey. I saw your motivations. I believe in you. But, like, the story they're going to say is, like, oh, they fed a child to a big snake.
We did feed a child to a big snake.
Yeah, we never really got to quite emotionally reckon with that one.
They killed a giant, then made it their slave.
Hey, it's not a slave, it's a little brother.
I will say that, like,
he is
through all this, Boy still is just like unfazed about engaging in active eco-terrorism against the Elf Navy. That was just like, no, that was just justified. Just
the Elf Navy one was totally justified, and no one has to reckon with their wrongdoings.
This is again why Stranger feels like unjustly called out. He actively has only helped the island, yet because he was like willing to potentially be a threat, he's getting shit for it.
No, I mean, I like it. I think that you all played your characters and not like you played, millennials who've been to therapy.
Maybe it's just because, like, I didn't get to be a part of those, like, wet side decisions. Well,
it's of course, like, everyone's the hero of their own story, right?
Yeah.
Also, because of the blessing of the underwater breathing Miss Killings has, I can imagine her and Cassidy. They're fighting on the beach. They're fighting in the branches of the banyan tree. They're fighting on the sea floor. They can fight anywhere.
They're fighting in the
lobby
decidorium.
of the gig.
Yeah. They're stopping for snacks.
They're fighting on the stairs.
Side note, because I'm going to forget probably by the time for the post-mortem, but I made mention to the reference that there were towels during Hialeah's vibe check. If you had ever eaten any of the towels, it would have restored your health.
Hell yeah.
excellent. Perfect.
On the
Awesome.
note of extreme violence being sort of the label that carries across Banyan Island and Zolfo, I want to talk quickly about Reaper, who is going to be leaving the island almost immediately. She's kind of gone through her journey here, and she's ready to move on. So I imagine there is like a party or something like that for her, and then she's probably going to head off. But her first thought before she does that, and she's going to be joined by Harvest, who they're going to be just traveling buddies for a little bit, is somebody has to deal with the Krill cartel. And her friends are going to be so busy starting up, like, a two-pope religion. They don't have time to be dealing with the Krill cartel. So in my mind, like, Reaper's journey immediately leaving the island, like, as she's heading towards the rest of New World, is just to, like, hunt down and completely eradicate all of the Krill cartel. Probably in her mind, innocently, like, beating everyone up and knocking them out, and then Harvest just comes by and just, like, executes everyone with his scythe after Reaper's gone by.
Oh yeah, I think he's like he's like cutting their legs off and making them race to see how far they can get. He's taking notes of that. He's dancing with like their like headless bodies. He's doing some real fucked up stuff.
Reaper seems to be blindly unaware of that.
She's just like, I showed those guys what for. And Harvest has like a skeleton like in the background, like, yippee!
not to like constantly go to fighting game references with Reaper, but it kind of has like the energy of like a Marvel Capcom crossover where you're like Deadpool and Ryu are having a scene together, and Ryu's like, it sure is good. We beat, M. Bison, and Deadpool has like M. Bison's like severed head and is like, yeah, beat. Like, it's just very different energies exist between these two.
But remember, there's guys like you all over the world. It's just like, it's the muffled Street Fighter 1 victory screen.
Oh, yeah. But beyond that, I think Reaper goes out and eventually she, will even part ways with Harvest. Like, she is going to explore the world. And I think there's like a part of her that always keeps her ear out about Master Evers, making sure he's not up to any trouble or anything like that. But her general focus is just like exploring, training, becoming the best. And over time, people start following her on her journey. And she starts to get disciples who she refuses to ever admit she enjoys the company of. But like, imagine essentially, this is Batman, like having a Robin follow along behind them and unintentionally teaching them her martial arts styles. And they become little edgelords themselves, and then they go off. And the cycle just kind of repeats as she meets more people throughout her life. And over the course of time, there's just a small sect of monks trained in this shadow martial arts style who all have like an edgy kind of streak to them, and it all traces back to Reaper, who, if you ask her, will refuse to admit she likes any of them, but deep down in her heart, it's the family who travels the world with her.
Yeah, I was gonna say, fucking the island has a ghost army and also a school of shadow monks because you left Master Evers alive. Like, this is a terrifying. This is like Anne Orlando from Dark Souls or something. This is like a terrifying.
And I heard just Anne Orlando, just like it's Orlando, Florida now.
Let's get Barbella out the way. I do want to have a scene with Hialeah, but I think prior to that, the person that Barbella would want to see for a downtime scene would be Allison.
Oh wait, that's me. Unless Quinn, you want to do it.
Nope, I'm out. I finished Reaper. I'm done talking this season.
I've just realized both of my downtime scenes are just me and Austin.
So I shouldn't talk to Parks?
You can. I'm gonna vibe with Parks. I'm okay.
Yeah, Austin, I'm locking you down for downtime scenes. You're locked in.
We haven't heard enough of Austin's beautiful voice this epilogue.
Allison is another example of being paid in Woims. I gotta say, she's full of them.
Austin is straight up Woim pilled.
I am. I'm Woim maxing.
Get excited for his season 13 character, Woim Man. It's a character made entirely of Woims.
You're shockingly not far off.
I've heard things about his 13 character.
Yeah, they pay her in Woims. So, Hot Priest, what are you up to? I hear, oh no, you're Hot Pope now. Hot Pope, Hot Pope.
Yeah, apparently I jumped to Pope.
Yes, Jude Law realness. The fucking all along the Watchtower, baby. No one saw that show besides me, but the new Pope.
I've been avoiding Bitter Creek for like 2 days. Every time I see Bitter Creek anywhere nearby, I have to like hide behind a lamppost. I'm quite big. I don't hide well behind them. I don't know if Bitter Creek is just avoiding me too.
I mean, you could ask Killings to have him taken care of.
No,
You're the Pope now.
No. Look, he's. I don't approve of every decision he makes religiously, but I don't want him killed just because it's a bit awkward.
Well, you're different than me, so I really don't like social awkwardness. I would kill to get out of it.
I mean, I don't like social awkwardness, but I feel awkward about how much I don't like social awkwardness, and then that kind of spirals, so I try not to think about it.
Are you worried about a schism? Like, Bitter Creek takes the people who don't think we should use the vents and, like, starts his own church with, like, blackjack and, cool fish.
I mean, if he wants to create a religious schism where, like, I don't know, they think it's cool to take money from shitty people because it's money, then fine, they can make shitty, less good Riddle Church.
I mean, there's only one riddle fish is the problem that the schism would have to share.
There have been other religions where schism has happened, but they still fundamentally still share a god.
I see. We're going to have an Episcopal versus Lutheran Church of the Riddlefish situation here. Got it.
Yeah, I mean, this is an interesting question. Is like how important is it to you that other people agree with you? I feel like Laura, you generally are like, oh, who cares? Everyone should do their own thing. But if they can use your fish, there might be a problem.
I think that fundamentally, Barbella's whole thing from the start of the season has been that she doesn't view herself as having, like, her view on the religion having any unique ownership over the religious deity. That, you know, religion is a thing where people will have differing opinions and that those are going to overlap and kind of Venn diagram a little bit sometimes, but, you know, as long as Bitter Creek's potential schism doesn't involve, like, I plan to kill and or isolate and lock away just for us this holy deity, then, like, probably no problems.
I mean, I think he's probably intimidated by you. I don't think he would try something that bold, but it's interesting because I think your very, we'll say, permissive religious attitude, that you're very open to things, is also just kind of accepting the defeat of bias. We all just recognize the vibe checkers are extremely biased. They're all taking in all kinds of things into consideration. There's no, like, you know, rules that we're holding people to. So I think we're going to let some worse people come back than if we were maybe a little stricter, which is, that's your right as the new hot pope. You can say that. I'm just like,
look,
yeah.
I don't have a better way to say what I'm trying to say, so I'm going to give the only fucking analogy I know as a 30-year-old whose job is reviewing video games. Which,
Hell yeah.
Which is, look, Barbella's approach to the vibe check is, it's stupid to try and pretend you don't have any biases when you're reviewing a video game, because of course you fucking do. You have opinions. A review with no opinions is fucking helping no one. It's not worth trying to pretend you have no biases and eliminate all biases, because all you're doing is eliminating the obvious biases and being left with nothing but the ones that you're not great at identifying. There is something to be gained from acknowledging and being aware of your biases, and at the very least, acknowledging what they are so you can contrast them with other people in the vibe check who have different biases, so that there's pushback.
Dice Funk Season 11, R.I.P. to Game Informer. you burn so bright. We miss you.
Rest in peace.
They gave that 85 to Legends of Averum or whatever it's called, and that was their Slater White moment. It just killed them.
Yeah. So I think Barbella and Allison are having this conversation, and the camera pulls out to reveal they are doing this in the Coral Kingdom, of all places. A little bit of a plot twist. And Allison's like, well, do you have any thing you want to say before you go home? Well, I'm here acting as your regent of the Holy Riddle Empire.
Barbella, like, stops and thinks for a second and goes, regent...
Oh no, it's gonna be a riddle.
No, it's not even a riddle. Barbella's trying to come up with a pun and it's not going anywhere. She's like, just make sure to come back and see me this evening for a drink. Aw.
Okay, I wasn't sure if we were ever going to confirm this. I feel like I've been playing Allison really forward and you've been keeping her at her distance. I'm not sure if that's just because she's weird and you don't like her, or if you're religious.
I don't think it's either. I don't think it's even that. I think it's just Barbella is a little bit fucking slow on the uptake, and it has taken her this long to go, there's a positive here. Okay, maybe we should maybe hope if it's not too forward, maybe a drink would be nice.
Okay, I mean, we can definitely end it any way you want. I was definitely thinking it'd be pretty funny if you just strung her along. We've never had a character who did that to a romance option. It was just like a real fucking dick about it.
No, I think it's left there with Barbella has just realized enough to go, maybe she wouldn't be scared off if I offered to get a drink with her. If I'm not being too forward, maybe.
What if this is the fucking Paranorman twist right at the end? Barbella's like, God, my boyfriend would love to meet you.
Also, I gotta ask, like, does this mean that Barbella's even more oblivious to the fact that Miss Killings was obviously, like, there was something going on there? in
Wait,
the
what's
two
that?
scenes they
What?
had?
This is me, Laura, being oblivious.
In like the two interactions they had, she was calling you Bella, and you were responding positively to that. But yeah, I don't know.
Oh yeah,
I
no,
thought that was
Barbella.
just-
Okay, I will make it canon. Barbella was even more oblivious to what was happening there. She's like, "Oh, we're doing
Excellent.
nicknames.
Very
Love
good.
nicknames."
I suppose I should ask a question about Barbella, since there's been reference to Allison being the regent of the Coral Kingdom. Something we discussed was, does Stranger get to give you a Harvestkin army out of the Coral Kingdom's corpses? Barbella wanted to table that option for the time being. Where does that now stand in the epilogue?
What does our regent think?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. I think the way we have played Allison this season, one of the more involved NPCs, which is interesting because you could have just killed her straight up the first time you fought her, was like you had every opportunity to piss her off. You could have sided with the Seneschal Kilpatrick. You could have not saved her from the Banana Boys. You could have not prioritized her like a dozen times. I kept trying to give you options, mostly because I wanted her to fight you again. You could have taken, for example, the Queen's vibe check and fucked that up or something. I think she's like completely loyal and will do whatever you want, but I think as part of the Holy Riddle Empire, it makes more sense for her to just bring them into the fold than to piss off the citizens by making their family zombies, basically.
Yep. I think Barbella is happy to go with that direction. I think, given that this is now Allison's role, I think she was gonna follow her lead regardless on this. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that the dry team can have Harvestkin army, the wet team can have shadow monks, underwater shadow monks, and the gig itself has the ghost army. We have, tons of stuff, so I don't think we need to, piss anyone else off. We also have Commodore Cassidy's navy. Like, we're fucking absolutely bristling with blades at this point.
Yeah. Now other people can have a downtime for a bit before me and Austin come back to do our other downtime.
Yeah, Stranger, I think, will sit up at the bar one last time as he's, doing his final rounds of the island. A little bit, maybe not melancholy, but, reflecting on his time here. I think it's probably been a fair amount of time since, everything has ended. At the very least, months, because he had to, grow his brother, start getting, actual Harvestkin set up here. Someone to sort of replace him, like a protege, etc. Maybe even upwards of a year or something like that. And he sits down at the bar and says, I figured it would be good to stop off here one final time before I head off Parks. And while we may have, let's say, had a hairy first meeting, I do believe you are one of the finest companions I've had here.
Well, I'm so glad to hear you say that, Master Stranger. I always knew I would get choked up at the day that you were finally ready to check out here at the gig.
You were an impartial observer for much of your time here, and like me, you had no safety net. In your estimation, are you happy with what has been done here? Would the wizard who created you be happy?
It's quite an interesting question. I suppose the wizard would be ecstatic. I did everything that my creator set out for me. I've helped to see that this hotel has grown large enough that it can house an entire community, and now it is the backbone of an entire religious movement. I can't imagine a more fulfilling use of my purpose. I suppose it seems trite, maybe, to say to someone such as yourself who was maybe born with the free will of 1,000 different options before you, but from the moment that my creator left me behind, I knew this is what I wanted to see happen, but I couldn't control it to make it happen. I simply had to be hospitable and give the best customer service possible to ensure that the best people stayed behind on this island to leave their mark.
Hialeah wanted this place to be a resort for those that came back. A paradise, a heaven, whatever you'd like to call it. As your role has to an extent been diminished, have you considered stepping back and enjoying the fruits of your labor? I don't think anyone would blame you. In fact, I'd say you deserve it.
I've never really thought about that, Parks will sort of say as he like just sort of kind of, I don't know, in my mind he's like cleaning a glass at this moment, that classic bartender move. But it kind of like slows down as he's like, perhaps it would be good to allow some other people to get some experience at the front desk, and I could take time off to, I guess, read. I've had so much of this world told to me through just the stories of the people who pass by, that maybe it's time that I experience a little of it myself, but I wouldn't want to leave the island. I love folding laundry a bit too much.
Well, if you love that, you might want to get back to the Decidorium. I saw Hialeah heading to restock on her snacks.
Yes, well, she's eaten us out of house at home, unfortunately, which, I think we'll just have to work out eventually. We'll make a deal with the towel domain and figure things out from there. There were a lot of gods of towels, right?
There has to have been at least one. Stranger kind of... go on.
The Charmin bear? What?
No, that's the god of shitting.
Okay. Parks looks at you, stranger, and he's going to say, can I give you a final glass for the road? What drink would you like?
Damn it.
Well, I suppose I should stop fighting it. One glass of the wine that makes you gay.
I am very sorry. That grape is extinct now.
That's fair.
All right, 80 hours of build-up for that punchline. Yes! It was worth it.
We harvested it. We did it! Right out of existence.
Don't worry, there's still the brownies that make you trans.
Yeah, mission status sick on that stupid joke.
Honestly, I think it was getting into the water system anyway. It was doing havoc on the animals' reproductive rates.
It was like fluoride for our water.
Oh gosh, there's going to be conspiracy theories about it.
Look, you don't want to get into the water system because that's when you know that they're putting chemicals in the water that make the friggin' frogs gay.
Exactly.
That is what I was referencing.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I think Stranger takes his last drink, or potentially really his first because he doesn't drink. And
It dies.
it dies. Downs it. It trickles through his ribcage, falls to the floor. And he says, I'm glad that you're going to take time for yourself. As I have said, to live is to change. And I'm glad to see that someone as long lived as you is still changing with the times. And he puts his glass back on the counter and saunters out of the bar to collect...
As you-
Oh, go on.
As I say, as you're trying to like leave, Parks is going to speak up as like you're trying to kind of like do like the quiet goodbye, and Parks is gonna say,
It was a tremendous honor to get to know you, Master Stranger. You have given me a great enlightenment to your home, for which I will forever be grateful. And although you never officially had a room here, as you slept in the maintenance closet, I believe, I wanted to say it has been an absolute pleasure having you stay here at the gig, and we hope you return shortly.
and he's going to bow.
Stranger will take his hat off and give a bow in return. And yeah, he exits the bar, and the last thing he has to do before making the long journey home is collect his brother, the harvestkin that was growing out of the corpse of White. And it is a sight to behold. It took months of effort, sleepless nights of Stranger fighting off like the various predators attempting to eat the body, and just the various things that could like deteriorate the corpse while this whole conversion process is happening. The first thing to note is that the White had his heart ripped out of his chest, right in front of the banyan tree, right? And from the seeds planted in that cavity have now blossomed a myriad of smiling, laughing jack-o'-lanterns that have just filled up this space. The body is actually kind of hunched forward a bit because out of the back of this this being, from the fruits dropping from the banyan tree, a sapling banyan tree has started to grow out of this creature's back and wind its way around its skeletal structure to get its form instead of a tree like it would in nature. From the eye that Stranger gouged out in his scorpion form forms the actual head of this new being, that a jack-o'-lantern that slowly grew and grew until the pressure on like the ocular cavity was too much, and it simply popped the head entirely, except for the lower jaw, which has kind of affixed itself. The skeletal lower jaw of White, which has affixed itself to the bottom of this jack-o'-lantern to complete its face. Stranger had to cut the top of this pumpkin off, exposing White's brain just to relieve the pressure building up. It is a monstrous, powerful being, in some ways innocent. It knows nothing of the world around it. It's been inundated, insulated from the dangers that another young harvestkin might face by Stranger and by the sheer power of the being it's grown from. And Stranger has chosen to not give this being a name, although in a way he thinks of it as the dawn of a new era, or I guess more appropriately for where he's from, the dusk of a current one. And Stranger climbs onto his brother's back and sets off for home. And I don't necessarily think that we ever find out. Well, I don't necessarily think that Stranger's return home and the actions he take are as happy and clean cut as the other people here at Banyan Island. He was not already, in charge of an entire island with a church structure backing him. He needs to do what was done here again from the ground up, and it is a bloody and hard battle. But change does come to the biome of fear. Be that a good thing for the world around them? Well, the world will have to see, and change with it in turn.
Season 13. Season 13. Season 13.
Season 13.
Yeah. All right, see you in 2 years. Bye, everybody.
I want to open the scene on Barbella asking Hialeah a riddle, and it's a really fucking stupid riddle. I think Barbella's going to approach and go, So this is one of the ones I tried to do myself. I'm still trying to do my own riddles. Okay, here it goes. You're in a room with no windows, no doors, or any exit. The only items are a mirror and a table. How do you escape?
Well, I just walk through the wall with my bigness. That's not a riddle, though. That's just I'm just answering your question.
No.
I know this one, and it's bad.
It is bad. This is why I've ascribed it to Barbella.
Okay, one more time.
You're in a room with no windows, doors, or any exits. The only items are a mirror and a table. How do you escape?
Well, there are no walls, so I just walk out.
There are no windows, doors, or any exit. I'm tired. If I said there was no walls, I said wrong.
Oh no, I just didn't hear walls in there. I thought it was like a trick question.
No. There's walls and a ceiling and a floor, but no windows, doors, or exit. And I promise you, the answer is really fucking stupid.
Oh, I don't need to physically escape. I can mentally escape because the material world is false and I have no attachments to it because I'm a holy being that transcends reality. I've already escaped Barbella.
Barbella looks you in the eye and says, "You look in the mirror to see what you saw. You take the saw and cut the table in half. 2 halves make a hole, and you climb through the hole to escape."
Classic.
Okay, is there a way to impeach the other pope?
Nah, you're stuck with me now.
I'm gonna have you imprisoned.
I have diplomatic immunity. You can, my riddles can be bad, and you can't stop me anymore.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask about that. We've had a lot of business. I've had a lot to catch up on. Hey, what was your plan after you murdered a guy? What were you going to do about that? Were you just hoping that the jury wouldn't convict you because of how strong you are and how cool?
It was a combination of 2 factors. One, the guy was a dick and a jerk and a big bad crimes man, and people would see that I did the morally right thing. And 2, I'm not good at stopping and thinking about consequences, so that's a factor.
Yeah, I think we're having this conversation in the vault room where all the body parts are kept. So there's the huge pine cone, and it's surrounded by all the chain swords and stuff that we described in the episode Chain Freak. So this is because there's no throne room, right? The gig was built as a hotel, not as the Holy See. So that's the closest we have to a private chambers where we're having this conversation. And Hialeah is just asking you yeah, it seems you tried to kill a guy. He told everyone, hey, that they tried to attempt to murder me, and then you just did the murder. So I was really worried the Krill cartel was going to start sending you fingers in the mail.
Well, you say that is my defense would be this was a dick that was getting people trapped into magical contracts without that should really not have been legally enforceable, holding people at knife point, trying to take over religions. Sometimes a guy will look at you in the eye and say, "Hey, I'm never gonna stop doing this shit unless you kill me," and you look at them and go, "I believe you. Gonna have to kill you."
No, it was extremely bold. Listen, as someone who blew themselves up, who am I to talk shit about wacky plans, I was just curious.
Sometimes your life hands you a riddle, and you work out the stupid, convoluted wordplay about seeing something, and that's a saw, and you saw the table, and the halves are a hole, and you get out. And sometimes you answer the riddle the way you did, which is, I just sort of walk through the wall because I'm big and strong.
Yeah, because no one will fucking stop me.
Yeah, sometimes that is the answer to the riddle, is I'm big and strong and the walls cannot hold me.
Yeah, I appreciate that about us. We're unstoppable. Speaking of which, I don't know if you've looked at the itinerary that Killings drew up for you. Have you picked a new hole patrol to replace you? Because Reaper is gone and you are here. So who is patrolling those holes?
Oh, I hadn't thought that far ahead. I was still trying to get used to the big hat that I have to wear now as the Pope.
Yeah, the hat doesn't have to be bigger every day, Barbella. I feel like you're making a statement.
How else will I make my neck muscles stronger each day if I don't make the hat bigger?
You're right.
Banyan DLC, every time you look away and look back at Barbella, her hat is bigger.
Look, I'm using the hat for weighted weight training. When I take this hat off, I will be so fast you won't know.
Her neck muscles are insane.
Okay, do you want to make decisions or do you want to be figurehead? Because we can go figurehead mode, baby. I'll just. Okay.
No, I should help make the decisions, but the problem I have is I'm like those philosopher types. Like you sit with a problem which is like a riddle, and you could sit there all day trying to go, what's the correct answer? Well, I can come up with 3 or 4 different answers that all sort of seem to fit the riddle, and at some point you just gotta go, fuck it, we pick an answer and we go for it.
Speaking of philosophers, did you see that defunct biome scroll about the fast pass system? He got our asses so good.
I did, but I debate some of the shock tactic of how they did it. Like, I don't think that data would have been so surprising had they been clear up front about what it was,
I'm just saying, that scroll's like 2 hours long. It's very convincing.
At least
They had little infographics.
Well, at least we didn't end up in one of those ones where it's like, this one's bad, 2 hours in, oh, now we're the secret actual villain of the scroll. Like, at least they didn't, it wasn't one of those ones.
We're definitely not the secret villain. So anyway, about our empire. Okay, we got the Coral Kingdom locked up. Allison's got that. What are we going to do about the Elf Navy? And what are we doing about the whole patrol? Circle it back. Do you have any idea who you want to replace you?
Barbella is chuckling because the first and only thought she has in her head is, make Bitter Creek do it. He can go out and do it now.
Yes! I'm looking at the list of characters and immediately I was like, yes, demote him into your old position. That's so funny.
Look, he's talented at answering the riddles. He knows the process. He has the skill in what's the most sensible direction to go. Cool, I'll go the opposite way. I think we gotta put Bitter Creek in my old job.
There is also the idea that he's kind of lost his way on what this should be, and maybe by replacing him back into the thick of it, he gains a deeper appreciation. Also, does Barbella just say diplomatic immunity when she does anything now? Is she stealing from the fridge and saying diplomatic immunity?
Only when it's people she knows won't actually get mad. Like, if she was stealing from the shared communal Pope fridge, then yes, she will take a doctor makes you gay out of the fridge and go diplomatic immunity.
So if you want to put if you want to demote Bitter Creek to not vibe checking, a whole patrol status, do you have, my first thought is I don't know if he's a very good fighter. Do you want to put one of the crabs in to help him out?
Oh, I think that's a great idea. Because Barbella wants Bitter Creek on the whole patrol because of the whole hey, get out of the church, go see the real world, go see the majesty of the fish once in a while. But yeah, someone from Team Crab would probably be a good bit of muscle.
Oh, please have Uncle Capehart.
Yes.
Fucking rich old shitty Uncle Capehart.
Oh yes.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Well, he wasn't really rich. Wasn't he running from gambling debts when I met him?
He was like a con artist.
Yeah.
He was one of those guys who always seems like they have money, but also seems like they're constantly grifting. I like the idea of the whole patrol and the vibe checkers being a kind of till death do us blart situation where you have to nominate the next person to take your place. So Reaper puts puts the K part in, and Barbella puts a Bishop Bitter Creek in.
So that means we got one more space to fill then.
We don't even know if Boyce is still there. That's up to Boyce.
Oh, yeah, we'll leave Boyce's spot open for now then, in case Boyce is still on whole patrol.
Just Boyce gets to pick later.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess the last thing I wanted to say is about the elf navy. Like, what is are we still keeping a militant, like, stay out of the ocean situation? I guess I want to establish, like, how aggressive we're being. Which I guess is like, how polluted is the ocean in season 17 or whatever? When do we do pirate season?
I think if nothing else, we've got the combined like above and below water sides now that can go, no, this is a religious site. You can't just be like dumping oil all over and trash all over like a combined religious site. You gotta be chill. There's people praying here.
Hey, I'm praying here. Also, do we have any official position to elevate your friend Butt Whiskers into? He keeps sending me messages saying, my homie Pope Barbella said I could have a cushy position. You two are apparently tight.
Who was that again?
Butt Whiskers?
Butt Whiskers was like the guy who got it wasn't he the one who got like
Reaper.
vent
It's a
burnt?
sea slug guy who Reaper blew him up half of him the first time, and he came back all wounded, and then you made a deal with him to join your like half burned support group.
Oh yeah,
And he helped us out during the final.
He
weapon.
became reformed, yeah.
The portion of my brain that remembers character names has just completely left my brain tonight. I think we could probably find a position for him. I don't know. It's a nice paperwork position. Like, the position is entirely sitting at a desk, pairing people who've come to get their loved one back up with person from the just randomly dumped body parts pile, and just making little pairs that are like, you've got to do this one. As well as your person, because that's gonna teach you something complimentary while you're there. Just trying to find like people in the random revivals pile that like might be a complimentary person to bring back.
Using that stuff he learned in group therapy.
I was gonna say I like the idea of giving the character whose primary physical trait is stickiness and giving him a paperwork job, because he's gonna be a Katamari by the end of the first day.
He's not gonna need a stapler. He can just gooey the paper together.
Oh, bad.
Yeah, he's a nasty sea cucumber.
He's
Yeah,
a little sticky man.
Is there anything else you want to establish? Because I think this might be our last chance to address any wet stuff. I guess, boys, you could talk about Elfago if you want. But
Oh, that's part of the plan. Don't worry. Yeah.
I think Barbella's only other thing she's going to add is just going to be like, now that we're both Team Pope, you gotta be prepared, because I am very much team our religions are secretly kind of the same religion. And that means I think you are morally obligated to hear every one of my riddles. It's gonna be a long popedom.
yeah, well, thanks to Miss Killings, I can go underwater and I can visit your church, and you can come up here and you could do vibe checks. So I think the era of the two popes has begun.
I'm gonna hide riddles literally everywhere.
No.
You're gonna find riddles in your sock drawer. You're gonna find riddles in your toaster. Oh, you're not
Write
ready.
them down on little papers.
Puts it
like
inside
you're
someone's
fucking
body
hiding
part.
them.
They come back and they cough up a riddle scroll.
Yes.
What is this, like a Twilight Zone twist where she gets what she wants, but she's trapped in riddle hell?
There we go. That'll do. Barbella's done.
The only question I have for like Austin via Hialeah is I'm curious about what Hialeah's thoughts are about Boyce actually finishing the construction of Elfago, Banyan, the gig, and all of that. I'm curious about what her thoughts would have been about all that.
I mean, she thinks it's cool. I think she is somewhat just. I tried to give her a little bit of a shittiness to her personality for flavor, and that is that she's never satisfied. Just she's like, "That's nice. Can you build some more gig-like structures? Because we're gonna expand. We need a bunch more."
Boyce over here says like, possibly. Those weren't part of Ollie's plans, but I think we could do an expansion, maybe, at some point. I'll see what I can do. Would be
Because traditional architecture on the island will disrupt the wildlife. So we really got to maximize space inside the island. That's why we use the piercing structure. So yeah, like she is like, oh, I'm being thoughtful, I'm being helpful, I'm making the community better, but also like bulldozing your sentimental feelings.
fair enough. Now let's get to the sentimental feelings here. So now I'm not sure if you wanted to deal I'm not sure. I think in this case it feels like Barbell has been getting the brunt of like the consequences of what happened kind of things here. I feel that for Boyce, there's sort of two general arcs I have in my head for what his epilogue is. The first is, so in the immediate aftermath, being maybe a little sad that Reaper left so soon, but Reaper has her reasons, and honestly, she's helping the effort with what she and Harvest are doing, so it's all fine. But I feel that what Boyce starts off with is simply first checking over all the structures to make sure everything is kind of like in its place and such. And in the meantime has been designing up some plans and such to reveal eventually to Alfego a proposal. And that proposal is Boyce working on making the terraforming spell safer, or at least easier to execute, and approaching Alfego with the proposition of, listen, I accomplished what I set out for here, but at the same time, there's a whole lot of other places out there that could probably use a little bit of a helping hand in getting their communities set up right and such. And I was wondering, would you be interested in coming along with me, kind of traveling around and help building up some of these other communities and these other biomes and getting them squared away the best, set them up at the best that we can to get things rolling?
Well, this spell is 9th level, and neither of us can cast it right now. You're only able to because you took control of existing spell casting, and it almost killed you. So lots of work to do.
Well, the current form of what I'm working on is a lower scaled version of it. It can't do an entire community, but it can do like pocket, like a city block size instead. Something a little bit less dramatic, and it'll be something we can work on as we go, obviously. But for I'm not sure how much time I have left, but I think to do right by what I've been doing here, I want to spread it around a little bit,
Where would we go? I mean, I feel as though we have made many enemies. There is the Elf Navy. There is the Krill Cartel. Is it not safer?
President Slater's man?
Yeah. I just feel I'm not trying to know and your improv. It's just like this guy is defined by curling up into a ball for protection. He's scared.
Well, the obvious answer is you're going to go build homes in the fear biome, right?
I mean, that was actually a thought, honestly. But basically, Boyce just proposing like, I'll do whatever I can to keep you safe, and I'm sure that if we travel and we start making these connections, we might be able to gain some ground with others, and just do right by as many people as we can. It's the one thing that I've wanted to do since I've been out here, and now that this one is done, I'd want to do a little bit more for as long as I can.
Well, I think we will need a bodyguard. Do you know any sharpshooters?
I think I know one. Also, honestly, I think we need a little bit of muscle. I'm pretty sure that the K-Parts might be willing to... I might be able to talk with them and see if any of them want to join in. Get a wagon together,
Yeah, I mean, you can definitely leave to travel the world and try to improve the spell that you have now. I don't know if you want to establish anything else about the world. A thing I was thinking about is what Stranger was saying about how things are going to change. You're specifically talking about like the fear biome and their culture, but also about the world. Like, how long do you think it is before the edges of the biome start blurring? This is something, since season 9, when they were kind of first seen on screen, I was like, oh, there's a very hard Minecraft-like edge between the different materials. Is that the way it's always going to be, or is there eventually going to be, like in our world, a kind of softening as things like stabilize?
I'm pretty sure that there will be a little bit of that for sure. I mean, like it's the lines are arbitrary, of course, to a certain extent, and depending on the influx of people into the world in general, certain degrees of expansion or our other sort of interest, and just the interactions between adjacent biomes would inevitably cause some degree of cross-pollination, border softening, and the like. I think that's just something that it's the same as we see in any other part of our world, whether we're talking about the division between states or countries or even other smaller divisions. These things are inevitable. Boyce's primary concern simply here is that for the different locales to help set them up so that for those that travel there will be a higher chance that they'll be able to arrive and be able to find a home to have as their own, as opposed to maybe dealing with like a lack of resources or a pushback of some sort otherwise.
Cough, 2 seasons, cough.
Now that Barbella is in charge, we are allowed to be super powerful. Do you think we should get full of worms before we leave? I would love if they paid me in Woims.
If you're interested in that, I say go for it. As for me, I got my own plans, and when my time comes, when my time comes, I will deal with that when it happens,
Should Hialeah get full of worms? Hold on, I'm sorry to reverse to our previous scene. But should both popes be full? Yours is a ribbon eel. I'm sorry, it's not a worm.
Can Hialeah be full of worms? I don't think it's been established if someone can be revived multiple times, let alone revived and then dunked immediately back into the watering hole.
Dunk her in like a cookie.
It's fine. We keep dropping you in one of those holes over and over, like you're hitting the randomize button on character creation until you get like a worm or a snake that you're happy with when you come out.
Are you proposing that Hialeah becomes some sort of resurrection biscotti or something like that?
Oh, that's quite a phrase. I googled what kind of snakes live in banyan trees, and I'm not seeing anything. Google thinks I meant banded water snakes, but that's kind of cool. They're from Louisiana. It's a cool guy.
I think there is a incredibly poisonous snake that does live in banyan trees.
We got to find what kind it is, because I want that guy in my body.
I'm reading a story called The Snake in the Banyan Tree, and I'm hoping it will tell me what the snake in the banyan tree was.
I see that. I think that's fiction. I think someone wrote a fictional story because the imagery we're using is incredibly classic. People love snakes and trees. They're the two things all cultures are interested in.
Oh, wait, hold on. I found something for boab trees.
Baobab trees?
Baobab, yeah, that.
Yeah, that's what she actually is, too. That works even better. I don't know why I didn't think of that.
Spotted bush snake.
Let's see. She loves a good bush.
The western yellow-bellied sand snake. Well, that might just be in sand near them.
A 17-foot-long snake was rescued from a large banyan tree. What kind of snake was it?
Tell us the snake, you cowards.
A crate. Krait.
Isn't that a sea snake?
That's the sea snake I suggested to Laura when you went in the thing, and you said a ribbon eel, which is totally cool and awesome, but the crate was the one I suggested to you.
Yeah, apparently. Look, I don't know if they commonly are in banyan trees, but at least one story had a crate stuck in a banyan tree.
No, yeah, the banded crate is fucking sick as hell.
Yeah, there you go.
Instead of the banded crate, it's the banyan crate.
Oh, sorry, I just found a picture of a boab tree with a snake carved into it.
Boys, ignore. You're trying to talk to Hialeah. You corner her in the hallway, and she's like, "You seen my snake? Look at my snake, homie."
Look at my snake hanging from my tree branches.
That's great and all, Hialeah. I'm just here to let you know that I'm gonna be taking a little bit of a sabbatical.
A radical sabbatical?
It's a little bit radical. I'm just gonna be, well, doing what I did for Zolfo and Banyan, but for other biomes and other communities for as much as I can.
Okay, well, who's gonna build the new buildings, though? I need those buildings.
I have some plans that I can leave with others around here, but at some point someone else is
Who?
gonna.
Parks? No one else is an architect. As your pope, I'm
What
gonna
about-
have to order you to stay.
What about Harker? he built thing.
Wait. Oh, yeah, Harper. Okay, you're right. Sorry, I jumped the gun. As your pope, I release you.
But Harper can't do it underwater.
I prefer to think partner in, I would think partner as we both kind of were working on, you, myself, and Ollie were working on the groundwork plans way back when. And, it's as much good as I've been able to do here. Like I said, I just want to spread that around for just a bit more.
Okay, well, I do feel like that spell might be proprietary Banyan technology, but I'm not a lawyer. I'm a writer, so I'm just gonna let that one go. That's my next character. Tree lawyer.
I don't care about proprietaries or copyrights or stuff like that. I just want to make places for people to live in, That's my whole that's why I came out here, and it's partially why I came out here, but that's why I stayed here.
I appreciate that. Have you nominated someone to replace you on the whole patrol?
I'm trying to think of how many people we have left in the down.
I mean, I think Lucius is probably the easiest and cleanest option.
Lucius is the easiest and cleanest option. Yes, that would be the case.
Or
Okay.
Master Evers. That's the other option.
Oh God.
Yeah, they don't really have any pre-established relationship, though. Well, that's funny.
Lucius sounds the better option narratively.
Yeah.
Master
Well, yeah.
Evers can just keep doing his own thing.
Lucius could do the whole
Yeah,
patrol
what is
without.
Master Evers up to? Has he been absorbed into the Capehart family?
Are you asking me? Yeah,
Yes.
probably. It seems like something that would have happened. I imagine he doesn't, like, he wants to go see the world, but I imagine he's also just like, I got all these fucking kids to deal with. Oh, fuck. I forgot one thing that I need to establish Reaper does. I forgot about this, and I'm so glad I was reminded. So before Reaper leaves, she is staying for essentially like a Christmas, and she is going to go to the Cape Hearts. And she is going to give each of the kids a gift. And every gift is very obviously shaped like a pair of boxing gloves, as she promised early on. But when the kids open it, each gift is actually what they wanted all along.
So like a Nintendo shaped like boxing gloves? Like
It's just that's how the wrapping paper looked. It's just one of these things you're like, oh, I wonder what this is. And it's like a socks. You're like, oh shit, okay.
Okay. Sorry, boys. You're trying to talk to Hialeah, and she's just like telling you about her snake because she's a selfish dick.
I'll promise you this: I will return at some point.
If you survive.
I've been around Barbella and Reaper for long enough to pick up a few things about how to take care of myself. Also, I committed like large degree eco-terrorism against an entire ship, so I'll get along just fine.
All right, it seems like you got shot so many times, bud. Your body's been, you're like, your glass bones, paper skin boys.
The concern's appreciated, but I mean, you've known for a while that I don't really fear death at this point.
Damn, that's a hard thing to say.
I've already
cruel.
I've already kept up my promise. I think you can tell there's only one thing that's ultimate left for me to do. So this is just sort of a victory lap until that time comes.
All right, well, come back as fast as you can and build me some buildings, because I got a lot of people who want to come to my cool island, and we got 2 queues, and I want to do a fast pass gig and a slow pass gig. So I don't know when we got to start those projects. The fast pass
Holy
one should be
shit.
nicer, right?
Holy shit. The moment he said this, I was like, is Banyan Island going to have a battle pass?
Like, it would have to. Like, the battle pass is being part of, like, the vibe checking, right?
You have to
and
battle
you get a better
to
room
get
if you
past.
do more vibe checks and help.
Yeah, you bring back your person that you wanted to bring back, but like if you bring back a bunch of people from the people that got abandoned queue, you get like cosmetics. We give you like a t-shirt at first, and it's like, I brought back 100 people and I got this cool t-shirt.
The revival items are literal battle pass rewards.
We have 3 tier. We had a few different systems, right? We had like the whole like everyone comes in. We had pay to play, and now we have slay to pay, which is what this current whole idea is.
Wow.
But anyways, though the thing that I was trying to get to like visually is just sort of like this montage of like Boyce and whoever else is willing to come with, like in a phantom steed drawn wagon going from like settlement or town to town, and using as much magic as can be safely done while to help build up areas. And with each community that Boyce and co leave, one of the like little indicators that they've been there is like a similar Gaudi-esque like shape-shifting statue kind of being left kind of in the wake as like a little bit of a calling card about who's been. I think another factor about what Boyce is doing in these travels is sort of like really leaning into sort of the kind of the pay it forward mentality, outside of food and room and board and stuff like that to get place to rest and eat. Boyce does not take any payment from anyone for the work being done. Others can take it, but Boyce refuses any of it. So I would imagine that this is something that Boyce does for possibly maybe even a few years. But then after a bit of time, I'm going to cut to something maybe after Boyce helps out with the fast pass lines and stuff. And I wanted to end on this the scene, the image of Boyce back in the gig and running through like the lobby and kind of moving through the crowds and such, and seeming like that he's in a dreadful hurry. And then as he exits out of one of the exits of the gig and makes his way to one of the coastal areas, so I've had this piece of music kind of sitting in my head here for a while. I'm just going to drop it in here. It's like, I can imagine something like this being played in the score. It's a solo pedal steel cover of Last Train Home as Boyce runs out onto the shoreline, and 2 things are sort of revealed. Number 1 is that Ollie is standing by the shoreline, and Boyce is a ghost, because this is after he dies. After he passes, he's, sort of returned back to the gig and trying to find and moving to go to just this place by the shoreline where Ollie is. And upon seeing Ollie and Ollie turning to look at Boyce, Boyce just simply like gets almost a little bashful about it and just says, "Sorry to keep you waiting there." Boyce, at that point, in this sort of ethereal sort of form, approaches and joins hands and draws Ollie into an embrace. Unheard words are exchanged between the two, and almost kind of manifesting from them and circling around them looks to be another manifestation of Gaudi in this sort of ethereal form. And as they embrace each other once more by the shore, the waves rise, crash over both of their forms, and they disappear as the waves take them away off to wherever they go after they have passed and rejoined each other in the afterlife.
So I have like a laundry list of things that Lillian is taking care of doing at the gig, from the time that like Hialeah gets brought back to indefinite time in the future, where Lillian is basically like trying to like keep in touch with everyone that's like working on things. Like Faye's gotta like keep in touch with Pofo and the Ghost Union, and Faye has to like talk to like Needles about like throwing that like I think it was like well, there's so many things. For the first thing, most important thing, I need to get Needles that gift that Boyce made for me, that like pretty golden like house model, as like kind of like a gift for a first date, to like actually start like go, we're gonna like go out and like have like some food at that restaurant that got recently built because of the Boyce magic explosion. And also Lillian needs a little bit of a pause before going back into the thick of it, because Needles is probably one of the like aside from the vibe checkers themselves and the whole patrol, Needles is probably the first person to notice that Lillian's kind of walking with a limp now, and kind of probably needs to get a cane. Maybe does have a cane made of like a fucking tree branch from the Banyan or something, because like Faye got smashed by a piston, if you'll remember, right? There's no reason to make like a mechanical thing like when we're at the end of the season, but like that is just something that feels organic, feels natural. It's just Lillian needs to use an assistive device from now on.
It could also literally be that because Slater had, control over the tree to an extent, Roots just hurled Lillian against a wall.
Lillian ragdolled for a minute there, like in real life, before getting brought back, and the Roots kind of like gently like brought Lillian back up to speed.
Lillian Peter Griffin edit 15 minutes pain noises.
Just to throw it out there, I don't know if you want to still do the thing we talked about with Harvest.
Yeah, I do want to do the thing with Harvest. That's another. There's so many things. I feel like I'm talking too fast. I'm sorry. I feel like there's so many things that I want Lillian to be doing that like I'm not even sure which one to start with. But it felt important to at least establish the Needles thing, and like the fact that Lillian needs a cane now.
You're doing great. You don't need to overthink it. You're doing great.
I might recommend Harvest first, just given the nature of what you are doing.
Yeah, I think that like after like establishing some things, like maybe like the next day or two after like the big vibe check, and like making sure things are like in proper order. I think the thing that Lillian is doing is going to approach Harvest like before he leaves with Reaper on their roundabout killing spree, and like it I don't know if plead is the right word. Ask politely. See if there's a non-violent way to ask if maybe he would be willing to potentially like give me like a little like, I don't know what bones he has, like a little just a little bone for potentially bringing Glenn back.
What are you asking me here, ankle biter? Are you trying to find out if I want to revive this body I'm from? I thought I established I ain't interested in all that.
Now, I know that you've established that, but I did want to ask you directly just to see if there was anything in the realm of possibility of you considering it, because when we got to see what your brother's person he came from looked like, we all agreed that it did kind of suck that the other guy basically didn't really do anything wrong before he got.
Yeah, Lillian, can you give me a persuasion check?
Oh, persuasion check.
Hold on, do you choose to fail?
No, no, I don't.
Well,
That would be
actually,
funny.
That's an interesting question. Did you use your crit from the Hialeah arc?
I did. I used it to.
You should have lied. That was a rookie mistake right there. I didn't remember. You could have lied. Now, you gotta roll it now.
Oh, I think you're mistaken. I think you tried to use it and didn't. You've still got it.
That's really funny. That's the funniest outcome we could have possibly gotten.
God.
Natural.
All right, everybody. Harvest is gonna kill me. This is a great season. Bye.
Lillian botched to anybody who's listening. And I think Harvest is just gonna kind of laugh at you for a moment. Not in a cruel way. He's legit chuckling. And he's like, that is a panic and a half. You can't have a part of my body, Lillian. If y'all want it, you better send someone out here to cut off a chunk. Because unfortunately, I'm not really interested in playing nice anymore. That's my brother's job.
I don't think it's in my best interest to push you on it if you're not interested in playing nice. I know that you have a lot of things that you got to be doing. I heard that you and Reaper are going to go on a trip or something. I just felt like it would be the kind thing to check and try, but before I left that option completely off the table. I don't know you especially well, so I don't want to make things nasty.
Well, ain't that a bite, but it's okay. You know, you guys have your whole holy riddle empire here. Just send out a couple paladins on a little holy quest to see if they can take off a chunk of old Harvest, and you get your guy back in no time. Consider it a test of faith.
See, the problem is I don't want to hurt you. And I know I don't want people going after you to get hurt either.
Well, sadly, Lillian, I think you've learned quite a lot about the way the world works, and not everybody is all about the community. I'll be out there, Lillian, in the world, all 100% Harvest. If you want to bring your guy Glenn back, you just send some old folks after me, see if they can get a chunk off. But just know if they try and they don't, they're going to end up as Harvestkin, same as everybody else who comes at me.
Just Harvest, you do you, and I'm going to do the best I can.
Looking forward to it. What is your title nowadays, fair Lillian? There's a bunch of tree popes. There was a speaker. What did everybody call you?
Oh, what do people call me? Out of character. I wasn't thinking about titles.
I didn't think about it either. I just...
Aren't you head of hospitality? That's what Hialeah was calling you to introduce you to people, because you were like the welcoming committee when people came back.
Yeah, that is what she was using. I guess that is technically the correct term. It's not like a fancy title. I don't think Lillian is interested in a fancy title.
That
So it's
said,
just like,
Master of Ceremonies?
Yeah, that's pretty good. I mean, are you?
That's
The question
pretty
for me is,
cool.
are you still vibe checking? Because I think you're still acting and you're still greeting people. But are you still going on adventures, or are you tired of getting, stabbed?
I think that Lillian is going to be vibe checking for as long as Lillian physically can. I think Fair kind of, like, in the way that I feel overwhelmed by all of the things that I wanted to wrap up, I think Lillian may be kind of in the spirit of trying to take as much responsibility for the choices made and the consequence as possible. Lillian, over the years, probably pushes Fair Self a little too hard, and eventually stops vibe checking because Faye physically can't do it anymore.
Punished Lillian.
Punish Lillian.
Venom Lillian.
But yeah, like with the harvest persuasion check failed. I think what Lillian is doing is a mix of like making sure that things on like the dry side of the community like progress properly. And since Lillian's like fairly young, I think I wrote down on Fair character sheet a million years ago that Fair like 25 or 26 or something. Lillian's going to be here on the island for a pretty long time. Definitely not as long as Hialeah, but like imagine like over the years like you have like this very amicable like dryad person greeting new people and vibe checking and eventually just like making sure that the new people who are resurrected are like comfortable and like putting on like performances and festivals. It's really important for community building to get people interested in theater, and like Dumas doing really well with that. I think Needles expressed some interest in it. I'm laughing because the fact that the last role I did was a botch is very indicative of the fact that maybe the curse that Dumas had did have some merit, but despite that,
it's very funny because I wrote that not intentionally. Like, I think you guys asked me at some point, you're like, is this like a magical curse thing that this Dumas character is like actively cursed and it follows? There's like, nah, just somebody with bad luck. But then Lillian became the actual like narrative personification of that. So it's like, yeah, maybe there was something.
I know you're working to have a more poignant end, but I like the idea of season 11 ending on a one shot, like a one-er take of Lillian falling down the stairs at the gig from the very top to the very bottom. It's like 2.5 minutes long as you hit every stair, like the end of John Wick 4.
Hits every stair, falls into a vent, gets blasted to the top of the gig, repeats. Speaking of the botch, though, I have to ask, you failed with Harvest. Does this botch potentially have implications for the other brother's body that was brought back?
Yeah, I was thinking on what would happen when Gotch does get brought back. And I don't know if it's more interesting to keep that ambiguous or if we want to figure out an answer. Like, did this guy actually, like, mend his ways? Because Lillian is doing the very best they can to like establish a community where people are looking out for each other and trying to help like those resurrected who didn't have anyone to bring them back to like establish a better life for themselves. We've got grief counseling, we've got homes people can live in, we've got things that you can do in exchange for other things.
Damn, I'm sick, because if Lillian was my character, I'd be like, yeah, I bring back this guy, and I take responsibility for him, and then he does, like, a murder or something, and I have to put him down. Because that would be the most fucked up. That's punished Lillian for real.
So I guess that's part of the question. Is that the real botch consequence? Or do you maybe want to roll again?
I think it would... I don't think I want to... Because I think a good roll would kind of make that last botch less funny. Mm-hmm. Maybe...
I think it's a fine place to leave it for the mystery about Gotch? Is that somebody who gets better? We also had the lingering thought that Stranger was never able to really get a read on this guy. It never really felt like he fully got to know this individual. So maybe that's just the level that Gotch is. But I think a question that the audience might want to ask Lillian is, what about Antonio, Claudio, and Hook and General Raso? Those are two people who kind of, you did their vibe checks early, but do you think they get brought back?
I think, despite the fact that it was in part because there was a deal with the ghosts and stuff, even if I had never made that deal, Lillian would have brought Reso back anyway, because she seemed like she was doing her best to lead people she cared about to a safe environment. And I think Lillian thinks that Reso was, at heart a good person and deserves to come back. With Antonio, Claudio, and Hook, that I'm not as sure of. I think... No. I don't think that Lillian would vote to bring them back. It's hard to give a concrete reason why, aside from just I don't know. At the very end, I don't know.
I thought we voted 2-1 on air, but if we didn't, I think that's maybe off air we said.
I think we voted on it, and if we voted to bring him back, then he'll come back. If we didn't, he doesn't.
Well, I think you're actually the deciding vote, essentially. Stranger's vote was yes, because one of the brothers was both sort of not a bad person. He was just trying to help his brother out, and the other seemed to regret all of his choices at the end. And if Stranger's viewpoint is about change, then that is what he votes for.
One last chance to put Sarah in the device.
Get in the contraption.
Yeah, Lillian is doing things to help set things back up in the gig after the Hialeah stuff has all been taken care of, to boost morale. Lillian has the idea to throw a nice little party. It's a separate one from the Reaper going away party. So if Reaper's left, this is a separate party. If Reaper hasn't left, Reaper gets to go to two parties, and it's just a nice.
Whoa! She's the two hot dog kid. How come you get to do two parties, Reaper? And she's smiling. She's "'Cause I channel the power of darkness."
And so it's just this nice get together, in the main lobby of the gig, and Lillian is Faye got help from Needles to help set everything up. So now Faye's looking for Needles now that the party's underway.
Yeah, Needles is at this party. She's definitely chilling in an intimidating way by the punch bowl, and she is wearing a tuxedo, but you can see that the sleeves have been removed, and there's torn bit of tuxedo near where clearly there from after she pulled the sleeves off, and her needles actually caught some of them.
Just Lillian will wave to her and walk over hey, I like the look. I like the guns out look. Very nice on you.
Thanks. I want everyone to know that I'm tough, and if anyone tries to spike the punch bowl, I'll break their face and rip out their organs. Do you want any punch? I've been protecting it for you.
Oh, I would love a little bit of punch. You're so sweet.
Thanks. I'm pretty cool and strong. I don't know if you've seen. And she's gonna start kind of flexing a little bit as she's pouring you in a task that would require no muscles whatsoever. But she is clearly flexing the entire time. She's pouring you a drink out of the punch bowl.
Just the strongest punch ever poured by man.
Yeah, it's two definitions of punch. And she's also just trying to work out. I'm going to be part of the Praetorian Guard, I think. So, if we start doing that, I don't really know. But, just figured I'd get
get the old guns out, let everybody know I mean business. Now that White's gone, I'm actually the strongest thing on the island, I think.
I don't let Reaper hear that.
I tactically, make sure Reaper's nowhere in earsight when I make these proclamations. Besides, she's leaving.
Right. Once she's gone, you can say that as much as you want.
Yeah.
Well, while we're here anyways, since the party's underway, we don't got anything else to do till we got to clean up. I actually, I have something for you. I've been meaning to give it to you for a while, but I figured I wanted things to simmer down a little bit beforehand.
Oh, cool. Is it a gun?
It's not a gun. I have not gotten my hands on a gun.
Well, I'm really curious what this is then.
Lillian is going to pull out this pretty little golden model house that's it's obviously got the trademark of Boyce's architectural style if you look at it. So it's one of them underwater houses, but it's just I wanted to give you something as kind of a symbol of a future that we want to build together. It's just something pretty, to decorate your place.
Whoa. Man, this is so cool. Wait, what do you mean? Wait, hold on. Wait, so is this a roommates thing? Or a they were roommates thing?
I would like it to be a they were roommates thing if you want to be roommates. Wiggling my eyebrows.
Needles' eyes are going to go a little bit wide, and you're going to see that tears start to well up in the bottom of her eyes as she's just but I'm covered in a bunch of spikes that'll hurt. We'd have to sleep in separate beds, or else the blankets would get all covered in my spikes and would stab you.
Just I've never minded the spikes. If we have to have separate beds, we can always sit on the same couch. Just because we can't be in the same bed together doesn't mean we couldn't spend time together like we've always had before. Just a little more.
Yeah, I think she has taken this glass house from you, and she's just kind of holding it in her hands and looking at it, and just kind of looks at you with a lot of sadness in her eyes, a good sadness, a lot of tears, as she's just I didn't think anyone would want to live with a kind of obnoxious bully like me. I don't know what to say.
Just you can say whatever it is you need to. I've always really admired how smart and capable you were, and I've always really I've always really appreciated the advice that you give, and I always really like how gung-ho you are to defend my honor.
Can I say yes? Am I allowed to?
Absolutely.
And this isn't a joke? We're not going to build the house and then it's full of poop, and then I get covered in poop and everyone's like, look at Needles, she's covered in poop, and then there's poop stuck to my needles?
No, there is going to be no...
Because I dream about that a lot of nightmares.
A lot of nightmares about that. Maybe we should...
7 to 8 times a night.
How many times do you wake up at night? Needles, do you have insomnia? Do we need to get someone to help check that out?
I'm sure it's fine. Don't worry, Lillian. We're just going to be living together.
I guess we'll burn that bridge when we get to it.
I'm going to have to figure out how to needle-proof all clothing. And then I'm going to have to figure out how to build the toughest doors possible so that when I'm not home, no one can come home if I don't want them to come home. Because I'm going to beat them up if they're mean to you. I'm going to teach you, we're going to find a gun. We're both going to have guns on us. And we're going to shoot anyone who's mean to you.
Well, like if we got guns, does that mean I don't get to use this? And like Lillian will pull out like the sick fucking sword that they got from like the Hialeah vibe check.
Yeah, holy shit, yeah, Needles is just like, whoa, what the fuck, that's so cool, holy shit, I'm gonna cut off my arms and replace them with those.
Just I don't think there's enough of these to do that.
Right, and I also want to hug you, and I can't do that with arms made of swords.
No,
I'd have to do it with my arms full of needles.
Arms full of needles is at least marginally more huggable than arm of swords.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you, Lillian. Thanks for bringing me back. When you first brought me back, I didn't really know if it was worth it. Because, like, what was I coming back to? But if this was the future in store, then I'm really glad you did it.
Just I have no regrets about it.
Aww. Yeah, do you have anywhere else you want to take that scene, or like a way you want to end it off on?
I think I just want to like end it off on sharing some punch with needles, and then like maybe we like hold hands and go on to like the dance floor or something. Like we have a good time at the party.
Yeah, there's a moment you two are hanging out. Harper goes to get some punch. Needle just gives him a glare, and you hear like a growl, and he walks away. And then yeah, you guys have fun on the dance floor. I think there's a lot of applause when you take the dance floor as well. This is a community that's very Lillian pilled at this point.
Yeah. Lillian has tried so very hard to like keep in touch with everybody in the community, like greet as many of like the new people being brought back as possible. Like Faye cares a lot about like the happiness of this place. Finally, I think this, like, after the tragic final botch of the season, where Lillian doesn't get to bring Glenn back because Harvest is just like, well, you gotta kill me, gotta make it count.
Yeah.
There's just like a final scene I have like in my mind of like backstage of like the theater in the gig of like Lillian like talking with Dumas and like trying to gas him up, like, all right, this is gonna be your first solo performance and it's going to be real good. Don't worry about if there's any mistakes that you make or if you flub up any lines, because a lot of the times people just aren't going to notice if you just keep your cool and keep going.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm really excited for this. I appreciate that you gave me a good one. Quack Beth, that sounds pretty cool. I've heard this is a big story, so I hope I could bring a lot of nuance to it. Acting's weird because it kind of comes natural to me, and then other times I don't know what I'm doing and I think I'm stupid. But you believe in me, and everyone's been kind, so I'm gonna try it, and I think it's gonna go really well. And then it can expand all sorts of ideas for what the gig could put on in terms of shows.
Exactly. And you are right. I do believe in you, and people are gonna love you. Just Quack Beth, great story. Real good shit.
Yeah. I love the part where he goes, tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow, ... quack. And then in parentheses it says, as duckily as possible. I thought that was like, oh, it's kind of transcendent. You think about it.
It's a big applause moment. Everybody really starts thinking about their lives after that one.
Yeah, I'm expecting no dry eyes in the audience, and that's partially because I've put chopped onions underneath everyone's chairs to ensure I get some kind of reaction. It's not booing me.
I like the effort. Very creative. You're probably not gonna need to do that next time.
Okay, then
Who's our chef? Is it still Stranger? Stranger cooked for us during the World's Fair. Tell Stranger he needs to find a way to make like 20 pounds of cut onions into something.
I will see if he's willing to. I'm not sure if he knows how to cook anything aside from soup. Cut 20-pound cut onion soup with dish soap. I like that could be someone's favorite food, who knows?
Yeah, I mean, we never know. Hialeah eats towels, so this place is kind of crazy. Maybe we find out that's what Parks eats or something.
Yeah, I've never seen Parks eat, actually. Maybe that would be his favorite food.
Oh my god. What if Parks is like an alien or something? We just never realized it.
Duma, he's a robot. I guess he could be an alien robot, but he's a robot. We know that part.
I bet there are alien robots out there somewhere. The truth is out there, Lillian.
The truth is out there, Duma. You break a leg.
Well, hey, be careful about that, because with my curse, I might,
Just that's the important thing, is that I don't say the actual phrase that break a leg means, because then that would be bad luck.
Ooh. Well then, so it's not bad luck that you told me to break a leg, but it'd be bad luck if you told me to not break a leg?
It would be bad luck if I said, quote unquote, good luck. It's a theater thing.
Oh, because I've been saying Quack Beth over and over again. Should I not be doing that? I keep hearing lightning strike when I say it. And now that I look, the lights from the ceiling are looking a little rickety today.
As long as you just say it during the play for the rest of the night, and just what would be like? So people usually call it the Scottish play. What would it be like?
Yeah.
The duckish play.
The duckish play. I realize I just did it spur of the moment, but I do realize that we actually had a duck and player character previous season, so I don't know if this is like a lineage tied to the Bill Webbiverse or not, but
the Webbish play.
Yeah, this is the Webbish play, perhaps. And
I had forgotten that we should probably be calling it the Webbish play. I've been having some. Does glass ever just like break when you walk by it? Does that ever happen? That happened to me like a couple days ago.
It used to. It's happened less since I came to the island and you guys told me I didn't have a magic curse. But, I mean, how could I have been so unlucky before?
I think just the thing about being unlucky is that, like, once you start thinking that it's like a repeated pattern, you just start looking for it everywhere. And then it's like, oh, I missed my bus. Bad luck. I dropped my favorite coffee mug. Bad luck. It's all because of the curse. And it's like, maybe it's just something unfortunate that happened. And like, you just got to keep moving forward instead of like blaming it all on this one singular thing that, like, you can't escape. Because, like, you can. You've been making great progress.
Yeah, thanks. How do you deal with, like, stress from bad luck, Lillian?
I try to go to people that I care about. I recently just made things a little more serious with needles. And I always go to her for advice or help with feeling better about stuff. And I also wrote a letter to my folks recently too, letting them know that I am once again not under attack by a giant for the second time in my life.
Oh. Well, I'm really glad that you have all these support systems. And I thank you all for bringing me back, because now I have them. And I don't know if there was a curse or there wasn't. I don't know, but I definitely feel lighter now. And I think it's time for me to get ready to go on stage. Alone.
Just you're gonna
Thanks.
do amazing things.
Thanks for believing in me, Lillian.
Absolutely. Lillian is going to give Dumas like a hug and a clap on the back before just heading back out from backstage and like settling into like a seat in the audience.
Yeah, you'll see Dumas kind of like give you this hug, and then as he starts to like kind of step backwards and start heading towards like the backstage part of things, you could see he's like starting to use his changeling powers to like shift his face a little bit to like better age it for the character and everything like that. So there's like this moment of like immediately seeing someone kind of get into character because like the wardrobe and everything just kind of like happens.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah. And I'm, obviously this isn't the Dumas show. I'm not going to sit here and roll to see how well Dumas goes. I want to know from you, Lillian, how does Dumas go? And then more importantly, how does Lillian go? Because this is the end of the season. And
Yeah.
I wanted us to close on Lillian for a reason.
So I like to think that for Dumas' first performance, like maybe it's the cut onions, maybe it's because Dumas is pretty good as an actor, but like there is a lot of like emotion in the audience. People really feel the character that Dumas is performing, and I think that like people like are like impressed, and like it's a good performance. I think Dumas has worked really hard for this, and they're gonna get applause at the end. And Lillian's going to be clapping so hard it kind of hurts Fair Hands.
Aw, that's so sweet. Your hands are like bloody needles. Like, what's happening, Lillian? What's going on?
Support.
What's happening?
Yeah, I like Needles being there too, because like we gotta go to all the performances together. Lillian, from like this point on, Lillian is like doing so many things at once. Like Lillian is still performing sometimes, and Lillian is in the audience sometimes. Lillian is checking people like into the gig after they've been revived. Lillian is making sure that like morale stays up. Lillian makes sure that the pine cone like body receptacle like stays protected and checks in with the ghost union sometimes. And Lillian is doing all of these things, and over the course of who knows how long, like you could tell that it's like not wearing on Lillian like mentally, but definitely physically. Like Lillian got like hit down to 0 hit points like 2 times this season, and the second one we didn't really get to address because it was like the very last boss fight.
It's literally
like,
the last episode before the
But like I imagine that all that like physical stress eventually like Lillian needs to start like using like a cane to get around, and so Lillian can only do like some vibe checks sometimes and not perform as much. It's just like this long life of like doing as much as Faye physically can until Faye physically can't. But like
yeah.
Fair still like really like dedicating Fair self as much to this as possible. And I think that the last scene in my mind is just like imagining like little old Lillian with like a little cane that's got like all these like ornamental like floral things on it. Some of them represent Fair family and some of them represent Fair friends, and just like going out like to sit by the banyan tree and like look out at like all like all of the island and the gig. Things have probably changed a lot in like the years Lillian's been alive. I looked up how long dryads live. I'm gonna cap it off at like 100 or 200 years, because the things I was finding was like, oh, dryads live as long as they're trees, and I'm like, I don't know I don't know if it makes sense for Lillian to live that long. But Lillian's definitely like in like the 100-year-old point at like just sitting down at the banyan tree. And like like this is a nice spot. It's good for picnics. Lillian like would take Needles here, like when they were still like together and like when Needles was still alive, because I imagine like Needles does pass on naturally at some point before Lillian, because like it just feels like the thing that makes the most sense to me, that Lillian got to bring back this person that Faye cared about a lot, and then when they moved on, there wasn't any like third chance, and Lillian learns like through like all the work that Faye's done over the years, Faye has learned to accept that and sit down at this nice like little part by the roots of the banyan tree and just look over everything that Faye's like helped like build here and just relax.
Is that how you're picturing the season ending? Is Lillian sitting by this tree and looking out over the gig and the community that's been built around it?
Yeah, I like to imagine it's like one of those rare moments where Lillian is just kind of like chilling. Like Faye like has helped people like Faye probably like trained new vibe checkers over the years and like helped like the community like get all these like systems in place to sustain themselves a little more so that Lillian doesn't have to work like 5 different things at once every day. So yeah, just a little bit of respite feels like the nice place to end this.
I have a weird idea. You could say no. This can easily get cut.
Mm-hmm.
Lillian's a dryad. So she has like a symbiotic, sort of relationship with trees. Correct?
Yeah. Faye has fair,
Sorry, yes.
like, yeah. Faye has their acting mask after all this time, because even if they don't perform as much anymore in old age, like, it's still, like, the part of, like, the tree that Faye grew up at, and, like, that's, like, the tree that Faye was connected to in their adolescence. Although, at this point, Faye's probably lived closer to the Banyan than, like, the community theater for longer.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if that was your Logan moment, but I'm almost intrigued at the idea of Lillian going to rest next to this tree. Faye is close to the end of Faye's life cycle, and there's like a moment of the tree just accepting you, and the two of you like symbiotically bonding, and then there's not a body left afterwards, but there's this idea that Lillian is still alive through this Numenon banyan tree that, doesn't really function the way we understand, trees of this caliber to be. But I don't know how you feel about that concept.
I think that's a very pretty concept. I like the idea of like Lillian like sitting here at the banyan tree and like resting for a bit, and then like the tree accepts Faye, and just Faye's like not gone, but Fair body is gone.
Yeah, the banyan tree throughout your adventures has like strangled you all to get you into the vibe space, the vibe check space. And I think this is the one time where like the roots come out in like almost a gentle and nurturing way. Like the tree doesn't seem to fully comprehend like death in the way that you guys do necessarily, but it seems to know and is trying to give you a comfort as it sort of adds you into its essence.
I think that's lovely.
All right, is there anything you would like to end on, or any little last words for season 11, Lillian?
I think last words for season 11 are that I think after everything that's happened and everything that Lillian has tried to work toward, like with the vibe checkers and then like the whole patrol and like trying to make this place something that Faye can be proud of, I think that even though it was a really bumpy road and there are still some things that Faye would have changed. I think Faye is proud of what they've worked toward, and Faye definitely like grew and matured over the years, but Faye will never truly regret being as optimistic as they were at the start.